Jai Gurudev. Let us start with the Guru Vandanam. Akhandamandalakaram vyaptam yena characharam tatpadam darsitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Ajnanatimirandhasya gnananjanasalakaya chakshurmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai Gurudev. This morning I want to continue with the Yagyas. There is a small bird that set up a nest in the balcony across my puja room. It's a small balcony, and I don't know the name of the bird, but it's just slightly smaller than a sparrow. It set up a nest in my money plant, and it has been sitting there, made its eggs, and sitting there now for more than 10 days, 10 or 14 days now. And I just see it, how composed it is, how fearless it is, and just sitting there day and night. For some reason it feels very safe, even when I go into the porch and I'm just there, just barely a feet away. It doesn't feel disturbed. So this is what this bird's tapas is, making its babies. The mother's tapas is making the baby. You see the same when the caterpillar becomes a butterfly. There is a certain period of time, when everything has to be still and the transformation has to take place. In the same way, when you're trying to make curd or yogurt from milk, then that milk cannot be disturbed for a certain period of time until the yogurt becomes. Because if you disturb it, then the transformation will not happen. So like this, even for enlightenment, a certain period of time is needed where you can be still and you repeatedly experience the samadhis and the transformation happens. I never really think so much about it, but as I'm trying to speak, I had been thinking how my life has been in Tirumala. 5 years I stayed there, 4.5 years actually I was on the mountain, and 6 months off the mountain. And there has not been a single day when I was not in samadhi. Not one single day, if I can recall, we didn't have the Rudrabhishekam, Guru Puja, and then me being in samadhi. And then we did the Yagyas regularly. Of course, Acharya Saurabh would remember because he was the closest to me. He was my Pandit, and he knew how my life was in Tirumala more than anybody else. So this repeatedly pulling back to the self, being the self, day after day is what transforms the whole nervous system and the mind to higher and higher states of consciousness. And really the mind becomes very expanded when it becomes cosmic. But in reality, mind is not infinite like the consciousness, like the Atma. So the mind has a very difficult time grasping. What is going on. It takes days together, weeks together, and sometimes I felt even months together to cognize and to understand what was really happening. And long before the transformation has happened, only then the mind would pick up. For me, the Nirvikalpa Samadhi happened in 1992, and since then the Samadhis were coming, and then I had the cosmic consciousness really developed, but the fully awake state was not uninterrupted. Sometimes it would be there for days and weeks together, and sometimes it would not be there 24 hours a day, fully being the self, fully awake within myself. And this is when I clearly understood, that I have to step back, and then be in one place and do the tapas and finish the enlightenment. When Swamiji, Paripurnanandagiri Swamiji was so kind and truly, so loving and compassionate and said, you can stay in Tirumala and do your tapas, then the real apprehension begins. Can I really be there? Can I really do it? What will happen? What happens if I don't get fully enlightened? Who will take care of me? All these questions arise. So I meditated on this for a little while, and then I said, yes, I need protection. I need protection from my guru. I need protection from all the gods. And I also need the blessings of my mother. And I need the blessings of Janardhanji and the love of my children to be able to really be in that place for this long time. So when I mentioned, that I want the Guru Puja to be done and the Rudrabhishekam to be done and these Yagyas to be done regularly, then of course, a lot of eyebrows were raised. They said, why do you need all this to do tapas? Why do you need all this to do tapas? Besides, why do you want to do Shiva Puja in Tirumala? That is the place of Lord Venkateshwara. And the Yagyas, usually nobody does Yagyas in Tirumala except the TTD. So the idea of me having even a private pandit for myself seemed incomprehensible for many people. Anyway, fortunately, after a little while, it was all resolved, and Acharya Saurabh came and stayed with me. He was just a young boy at that time, just barely 17 or 18. He had been in Maharishi school since the age of 4, and very sweet person. It was an amazing experience. Because I was transcending for 6 to 8 hours, staying in samadhis, and then being with the Rudrabhishekam. We were doing the Rudrabhishekam actually twice, morning and evening, the Guru Puja, and then I would be singing stotras. So it was just a very beautiful, divine, sublime environment. All of the sannyasis were very kind to me. Maharishi Malayara Swami's sannyasis are very gentle people, very gentle and benevolent people. They would call me Amma, and I would also be like Amma to them. I would always, find out about their welfare, help them with any little medical problems, and see that, sometimes that they get good food, like that. So when we were doing the Yagyas, we were doing actually 5 Yagyas, because we were doing the Mahasudarshan Homam twice, and all the sannyasis used to sit around, because actually the Yagnam was done by the sannyasis. I would just be in transcendence. So Saurabh would be chanting and the sannyasis would be offering the ahutis. I clearly understood that, from the past actions, there are so many potential negative consequences, and these can develop and become something that can be influencing the present and the future. This could interfere with progress and happiness during this tapas time. In essence, Jyotish is used to know these trends, how, what is going to happen, what is happening, and then, predict the trends. But of course, I really did not follow Jyotish during the Tapas time. I just simply remained with the Yagyas. So there is an analogy Maharishi used to use, and he said, an arrow shot from a bow is on its way to hit the target. And and then what can be done? By doing the yagna, then it's like this, sometimes a wind comes and then blows the arrow off its path, and then the arrow would miss its mark, and that is how something would be averted. I also understand very clearly that the Atma, or the unified field, is the field from where all the Vedic technologies of consciousness operate. And it is the most powerful level of the natural law, or the Prakriti Dharma. It is million times more powerful than the nuclear level, and it is a field of peace and unity. It is a very beautiful field of peace and unity. So the negative influences of the past, karma and the samskaras, come in so many ways. They come in the form of illness, accidents, misfortunes, just pure obstacles. Just the mind may not be clear, and there may not be clarity. There could be laziness, postponement. So much of delusion can come in, so much of maya, or even just worry, fear. So these yagnas, primarily, they undo the mistakes of the past, and they are very useful for reversing any wrongdoing that may manifest in our life at present or in the future. And also, if we are going through a favorable period, then that favorable period becomes really very favorable and most favorable, and one can take advantage of it, especially if you know it in the Jyotish period. I remember once Saurabh asked me, "Ma, how do you know the gods come when we are doing the yagna?" And then I told him, I said, "You see, the birds are chirping, they are singing, the leaves are rustling, the breeze is flowing, the gods are coming." I knew in my consciousness when the gods were coming, who was coming, and who was present. And what really happens when you know that they are there? You really forget to ask what you want to ask. You don't have the need to ask, because they are there to take care of you, to take care of the world, and for the Loka Kalyanam, because in the Loka Kalyanam is our Kalyanam. Our Kalyanam is not independent, because when I had the cosmic mind, then I clearly understood I am the cosmos, the same mind as the cosmos. And then how can I be different from the cosmos? So everything is only on the cosmic level. So I would say the yagnas can be used for so many things, to gain benefits and to be have blessings on birthdays and marriage and wedding anniversaries and marriages and so on and so forth. But the most important thing for a seeker and for one who is who seeks enlightenment, is really removing these negative influences and the obstacles and having the grace. So if you look at the lives of any enlightened person, they were connected with divine. They were doing the yagnas. They would have, so many of them were doing Agnihotra on an everyday basis. But of course, I did not do that. I just simply did these 5 main yagnas while I was in Tirumala, and then the 4 yagnas in Himalayas. I have also realized that, if one sets the mind for enlightenment, all the gods will rejoice, all the gurus will rejoice, all the gods will rejoice, all the sages and rishis will rejoice, and they try to protect you and they try to take care of you to the most possible extent. The cosmos wants enlightened beings, the cosmos needs enlightened beings, and so everyone comes together to help in the enlightenment if one is sincere. I will stop here. Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Dev.
तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः।